Hey y'all, Ryan May here, your lead pastor at the Net Church, and I'm between services actually, and as you're watching this, service is already over, but I wanted to take a minute since I couldn't be with you today at Growth Track 1.0 to at least say hey and share a little bit of our story. Today was awesome, by the way, if you were in the service. Just an incredible time of worship and prayer and exciting stuff. Let me just take a moment and tell you why we started this church to begin with. Back in 2001, my wife and I got married. We were in Charleston, South Carolina at the time, and we started attending a church called Seacoast Church. It was a large non-denominational church in Charleston, and we were attending there, and at the same time I was working in the steel industry. So I was traveling back and forth from different mills back to home, and I would stay there for 3 to 6 months. We were selling a product to the steel mills. We were training their guys to do the process, and in that time I would always meet some real interesting guys in the mill, and they're not the kind of guys you want your kids around. I'll just say that. In fact, I remember one conversation I had with one guy. We had been talking about the difference between me and everyone else there, just because I was a Christian, so I didn't talk the way they talked and do some of the things they did. So he invited me to his house one time, and I go into his house, and first thing he does is he calls his wife. He says, hey, honey, come over here, you got to meet this is the Christian I was telling you about. He doesn't cuss. He actually said that. So it was just comical to me, the difference between kind of where they were in life and where I was in life. What that created, though, was a lot of opportunities to talk with them about my faith, because they had tons of questions about it. It was very interesting to them. Some of them came to receive Christ in their own lives through those conversations, and I got to pray with them and lead them to Jesus. And the biggest thing, though, for me at that point was I had to get them plugged into a church, because I was moving on to the next town. And so it wasn't going to be enough that I just helped them get saved and come to know Jesus, but like they need to grow in their faith alongside other people. So what was that going to look like for them? So I knew enough about church, having grown up in it and been to different churches, that some churches weren't going to be receptive to these kind of people in their church. So this is what I told them. I said, hey, listen, I'm going to go visit a few churches, and then when I find one that's safe for you, you can come. You don't come yet, because I don't want you walking into every church. There's certain churches that you might feel comfortable walking into. So I searched and searched and searched. I could not find a church in these towns that I felt like would be a good place for them to grow, where they could be accepted and received and could grow at their own pace, because they were rough. I mean, their lives were just broken, and they didn't have it all together yet. They didn't have it figured out. They had questions that were kind of big, deep questions, and I just wasn't getting those answers from the places I would visit. I would talk to pastors and members of the church, and so it broke my heart. It burdened my heart for that. So what we did is we came back to Charleston and began to pray through that. About that same time, our church was networking with some other churches to start an organization called ARC, the Association of Related Churches, that would take that model and take it to other cities. So when we heard that, it resonated with us, my wife and I, and we thought we want to be a part of this. So we decided we were going to start a church at that point. That's what God was leading us to. My wife's family's from Atlanta, so we knew we didn't want to be farther from them, because we were about to start our own family than we were already in Charleston, South Carolina. So we drew a 5-hour radius around a map around Atlanta and said, okay, God, where do you want us? We started visiting different towns. Now, we came to Chattanooga as one of those stops because it was close, but also this is where we met. We both attended Lee University. We grew up Church of God, Pentecostal is our background. And so we had friends here. We knew that we went on our first date just down the road in Chattanooga, UTC Arena. We had our first date at the Disney on Ice. Am I good or am I good, right? Like, it was a total surprise. She's a big Mickey fan. That makes more sense now, right? Maybe. Anyway, it was romantic for what it was. So we went there and we did all these things in Chattanooga, so we thought, let's just go back to Chattanooga. Chattanooga has a lot of churches, but I don't know that there's a lot of churches like this. And there are mill guys, those type of people everywhere. So we created a church for people who don't go to church. And so we moved here in 2008 to start that. We started meeting in the Rave because at the time, the Rave is what it was called at the time. It's Carmike East Ridge now. Because we just wanted something that was really not intrusive. It wasn't a church building. We knew we had to set up and tear down. We didn't want to set up and tear down chairs, so we thought this was a way around that. My background's in film, actually. I went to school for that, not pastoring. that came later in life. So we just thought it was a fit for us. And so we moved into the rave. We put up a billboard right over there. There's a billboard, and we put up a sign, why ifyouhatechurch.com, ifyouhatechurch.com. And we invited people to take a survey. 700 people did, and a lot of those showed up then. And we just invited people that either had a bad taste in their mouth from church, or didn't want to be a part of it, to come be a part of something that was new and different. Now we're doing the same thing up in Cleveland. We did the Why I Don't Do Church campaign, and it's the same thing behind it. Why don't you do church, and would you, if there was a church that was created for those who don't go? So that's us. And so Emmanuel, or Sam, if you're in Cleveland, is going to be sharing with you a little bit more as our campus pastors about that and what that looks like for us as a church and how we do that today. I just wanted to say hey and let you know that I am looking forward to you being a part of our family and getting plugged into what we do. The Growth Track is going to be a great thing for you as you get to learn more about us and more about what God's plan is for you and how to get plugged into making a difference in this world together with us. But these are exciting times for us as a church, and now for you as part of God's family. So love you guys, grateful that you are here and with us, grateful that you're interested in taking the next step toward us, and I personally look forward to meeting you soon.